Hamilton didn't just improve at Ferrari. He changed completely in 48 hours. Because during a routine Fiorano test, with no upgrades, no pressure, and no headlines, Ferrari put him through over 200 kilometers of controlled chaos. Artificial rain, low grip, repeated braking zones. The exact conditions where he struggled the most last season. And something unexpected happened. The mistakes disappeared. The hesitation vanished. The driver who couldn't trust the car suddenly looked in complete control. But here's the part that should worry every team on the grid. Ferrari didn't do this by accident. They engineered it. They created the perfect environment to force a transformation. And they did it on a private track that no one else in Formula One can use. This isn't just adaptation. This is a controlled rebuild of a 7-time world champion. And once you understand what they were really preparing him for, you realize this changes everything. It all started with something that looked completely harmless. A tire test. That's it. No upgrades. No new parts. Nothing that should make headlines. And that's exactly why no one paid attention. Because under Formula One rules, these Pirelli tests are supposed to be limited. Strictly controlled. Teams can run the current car, yes. But they can't use the data to develop performance. They can't adjust setups for race weekends. They're not even told which tires they're using. So on paper, it's almost useless. But Ferrari saw something no one else did. An opportunity. A legal window to do the one thing every team is desperate for. Real track time. And they didn't waste a second. They put Hamilton in the car. Not for a few laps. Not for a short run. For 2 full days. Over 200 kilometers of driving in conditions they controlled completely. And this is where things start to change. Because this wasn't random running. This was structured. Deliberate. Almost surgical. Ferrari didn't just send him out to drive. They built scenarios. Specific situations. The same corner. The same braking point. The same level of grip. Repeated over and over again. Until something clicked. And here's the key detail. They chose the worst possible conditions. Wet track. Artificial rain. Low grip. Unstable balance. The exact environment where Hamilton struggled the most in the past. Because if you want to expose a weakness, you don't hide it. You amplify it. And Ferrari did exactly that. They turned Fiorano into a controlled stress test. Every lap pushing the same problem. Every lap forcing the same reaction. Until that reaction started to change. But this is where it becomes something much bigger than just a test. Because while Hamilton was driving, adapting, correcting, Ferrari was watching something very specific. Not speed. Not lap time. Control. Precision. Consistency. They were measuring how quickly he reacted. How smooth his inputs were. How much he trusted the rear of the car under braking. Because last season, that trust didn't exist. There was always a moment of doubt. A fraction of hesitation. And in Formula One, that's enough to lose everything. So Ferrari attacked that exact problem. Directly. Relentlessly. And after enough laps, something started to shift. The corrections became smaller. The steering inputs became cleaner. The car stopped feeling unpredictable. And started behaving exactly how Hamilton expected. That's not a small change. That's a complete reset. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Because this wasn't just about fixing a driver. It was about preparing him. For something much more demanding. Something that requires absolute precision. Zero hesitation. Perfect timing. The kind of system that doesn't forgive mistakes. And Ferrari knew one thing. If Hamilton wasn't fully adapted, it wouldn't work. So everything at Fiorano had one purpose. To make sure that when that moment comes, there is no doubt left. No hesitation. No second guessing. Only instinct. And that's exactly what they were building. Quietly. Out of sight. While everyone else was looking somewhere else. But the real question is this. What kind of upgrade needs this level of preparation just to be usable? Because the truth is, this was never just about Hamilton. It was about a system. A system so aggressive, so unconventional, that it changes how the car behaves between a straight and a corner. And if the driver is not perfectly in sync with it, it becomes a liability. Not an advantage. That system is the rotating rear wing. The one Ferrari quietly introduced, and then immediately pulled back. Because on paper, it's revolutionary. Instead of opening like a traditional system, it rotates. Completely. Until the wing almost disappears from the airflow. Which means one thing. Near zero drag on the straights. Maximum speed. A potential gain that other teams simply cannot match with conventional designs. But here's where everything breaks down. Because Formula One is not one on the straight. It's one in the braking zone. And that's exactly where this system failed. When the car goes from full speed into heavy braking, the rear wing must return instantly. From low drag, back to maximum downforce. To stabilize the car. To keep the rear planted. To give the driver confidence. And in the first version, that transition wasn't good enough. It was too slow. Too inconsistent. And for a driver, that's terrifying. Because for a fraction of a second, the rear of the car feels light. Unstable. Disconnected. And in that moment, you can't attack the corner. You can't commit. You hesitate. And that hesitation destroys lap time. So Ferrari made a decision. They didn't race it. They went back. Back to Fiorano. Back to controlled conditions. Back to repetition. And suddenly, everything you saw during that test makes sense. The artificial rain. The repeated braking zones. The focus on consistency. They weren't just fixing Hamilton. They were aligning him with this system. Because to make this work, the driver needs something very specific. Absolute trust. He needs to know exactly when the rear grip will come back. Exactly how the car will react. Exactly how much he can push without crossing the limit. And that level of precision cannot be guessed. It has to be learned. Felt. Embedded into instinct. Lap after lap. Until the transition becomes invisible. Until the driver no longer thinks about it. And this is why Fiorano is something no other team can replicate. Because solving this problem requires one thing above all. Repetition in identical conditions. Same braking point. Same speed. Same grip. Over and over again. Until there are no surprises left. And no other team has that environment. No other team can create rain on demand. No other team can run their current car like this. No other team can isolate a problem and attack it with this level of precision. And that's where Ferrari's real advantage begins. Not just in the technology, but in the preparation. Because by the time the system reaches a race weekend, Hamilton will not be reacting to it. He will be ahead of it, anticipating every movement, using it instead of fighting it. And that changes everything. Because a system that is risky in the wrong hands becomes unstoppable in the right ones. But there's still one missing piece. Because even if the driver is ready, even if the system works perfectly, even if Ferrari unlocks that straight line advantage, there is still something in the car that could limit all of it. Something less visible, less talked about, but even more decisive over a full lap. And until that is fixed, this entire breakthrough remains incomplete. That missing piece is not the wing. It's not even the driver. It's the floor. And almost no one is talking about it. Because while the rotating wing gets all the attention, Ferrari's biggest limitation is happening underneath the car. Hidden. Invisible. But devastating. Because the current SF-26 has a very narrow operating window. Which means one thing. The car only performs at its best within a very small range of ride height. Too low, and it becomes unstable. Too high, and it loses downforce instantly. There is no margin. No flexibility. And that creates a serious problem. Because on a real track, the car is never stable. It's constantly moving. Bouncing over curbs. Compressing under load. Shifting through corners. So if your performance depends on staying in a tiny window, you're always fighting the car. Always compromising. And that's exactly what Ferrari has been doing since the first race. Sacrificing potential, just to keep the car predictable. But here's where everything connects again. Because now imagine adding the rotating rear wing on top of that. A system that already pushes the limits of stability. A system that changes the balance of the car between straights and corners. And combine it with a floor that is already sensitive. Now the margin becomes even smaller. The risk even higher. And suddenly, even if Hamilton is perfectly adapted, even if the wing works flawlessly, the car itself could still hold everything back. That's why Ferrari didn't stop at Fiorano. Because while Hamilton was adapting, while the wing was being refined, another project was happening in parallel. The new floor. Completely redesigned. Not just improved. Rebuilt. Because Ferrari identified the core issue. The airflow under the car was too sensitive. Too reactive to small changes. So they changed the geometry. Smoother airflow. More gradual pressure build-up. Less dependency on exact ride height. Which means one critical advantage. Consistency. The car behaves the same way, across different conditions. Different speeds. Different corners. And that changes everything. Because now, the driver can trust the car. The wing can operate without destabilizing the rear. The entire package starts to work together. Not against itself. And the numbers are significant. Up to 0.3 per lap in qualifying conditions. That's not an upgrade. That's a shift in competitiveness. But here's the key detail. This floor has not been fully tested in race conditions yet. which means Ferrari is about to bring multiple unknowns at the same time. New floor, new rear wing behavior, new energy management approach, all combined, all interacting, all depending on each other. And this is where the story reaches its most critical point. Because when everything works together, the gains don't just add up, they multiply. But when one piece fails, the entire system collapses. And that's the risk Ferrari is taking. They are not introducing one upgrade. They are introducing a concept, a completely new way of extracting performance, built around precision, synchronization, and trust. And now, everything comes down to one moment, one race, one weekend where all of this leaves the controlled world of Fiorano and faces reality. No artificial conditions, no repetition, no safety net, just speed, pressure, and consequences. Because if it works, Ferrari doesn't just close the gap, they change the order. But if it doesn't, all of this preparation, all of this adaptation, all of this risk, becomes the reason it all falls apart. And that's what makes Miami different. Because for the first time this season, we're not just watching performance. We're watching whether Ferrari's entire vision actually works.